Hello. Happy Wednesday, everyone. What do we got in here? John Shepler, my man from the Midwest. You're looking good, John. I am excited that you're growing your hair back out. Very excited about that. We are off and running. That's right. Oh, we got Brian Romskin here. Thanks, John. Much appreciated, as usual. I'll try harder to ignore them this time. I think Brian's talking about some trolls. I didn't really notice any last time. But maybe it was because I wasn't watching the comments closely enough. Mark Malmberg. Good afternoon from Kansas City. Good afternoon. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri, the Missouri sign. Greetings, Marcus. Thank you, Tim. One Nirvana in utero. Oh, we missed it. Where is it? Steve Zeidman. What's up with you, brother? Mark said, sorry for me. I didn't live there long. But I moved to Nebraska, so I probably would have rather stayed in Kansas City. Monica Toole, keep up the good work. Thank you, Monica. Very much. Yeah, here we go. The Netherlands, good vibes. Javier Diaz Gonzalez. Javier Gonzalez. What's up, Wesley? Wes Fletcher. Robert Good, hey, from North Richland Hills. I know exactly where that's at. KLH review. Really interested in the amp matching. Coming. Probably posted Friday. Probably. Friday or Saturday. Friday or Saturday. Chubzilla Gandhi. Hey, from San Antonio. I love that name. Chubzilla. Will you be attending CEDIA this year in Dallas? I don't know because I don't. So that's come up. I've been asked that question a couple of times. I don't know like how valuable it would be for me to go, considering that, I don't know how many audio companies are going to be there outside of, some of the bigger brands that may not even be there to promote audio. I don't know. You tell me, Scott. Is it worth going? John, 1234. Hello from Greece. Hello, John. Hey, man. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Robert. We got Kent in here from Richmond, California. Hello, Kent. Do I want to upgrade my Unified UB52 to CSS Crichtons? Ooh, different speaker. A lot different speakers. So the UB52s is going to be very neutral across all of the frequency response. Crichtons, the 1TDs especially, are going to seem a lot fuller, a lot warmer. 1TDX, probably a little bit more similar to the UB52, but also more expensive. If you're like into it and you want to do a little DIY, I think the Crichtons are an amazing speaker in a bigger room, like because they're beefy, they're big, they put out some bass. Excuse me. So make sure that you have the room for them. Actually, what up, Mark? Mark says happy hump day. Scott Pledger. Anyone else going to SoCal Can Jam? I don't know when that is. Milwaukee. We got all sorts of folks. We got Greece. What about a discussion on Hafler network upscaling 2-channel to 4 or 5? That's you're too smart for me. I could only read half of that. No, I don't know anything about that. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, Mardana. Nanak. Yeah. Hey, there's Robert Delgado. I think it's Robert. Hello from Chicago. I made it. Hello, man. I saw you comment on my other channel. Thank you. Appreciate it. Billy. Just setting up my second system again. ProAx back in service. That's awesome. David, have you ever added a phono preamp that wasn't as good as the one built into the Base X amp? I ended up A/B testing and decided to go without. So I'm going to put that up there from Bob. Bob, thank you very much for that super chat. Have I ever experienced a phono preamp that's not as good as the one in the integrated? I don't think I have, but what I have experienced, and it was with the it was the T100. So it was like 2 generations ago. And I compared it to $100. It was the Project $100 phono box. So it's a little $100 preamp, phono preamp. And while there was a difference, there wasn't enough of a difference. I think it was a $200 one. There wasn't enough of a difference for me to keep the more expensive external phono preamp. Now, there are some integrateds that have really good integrated phono preamps. The one in the Emotiva is good enough that I sent back a $200 phono preamp because at the time I was buying everything. So that was $200 I could use to buy something else, which I did for sure. Thank you, Bob, for the super chat, my friend. Best preamp and DAC you've used to date, based on your opinion. Okay, so best preamp, and this is kind of unfortunate, is this Akatika. Now, I built it. It's a kit. And the thing about it is, I don't even know if you can get them. You might be able to get the preamp. I think the power amps are hard to come by right now. Very old school, very pedestrian looking, but it has 2 amp outputs. It has a whole bunch of inputs. It's really, 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 really good. Does have tone controls, has a remote control with a motorized pot. So it's fantastic. I think it's about $400, but you have to build it, and it's not. It can be a bit intimidating. Best DAC I've used. For R2R, in my opinion, it's the Dynafraps Aries 2. For a Delta Sigma DAC, it would be the Gishelli Labs J2. There's an AKM version and a Sabre version. Lone Star 8989 super sticker. Thank you very much. Oh, we got a bunch coming in. Edward Randolph, $5. Thank you very much. Mr. Delgado says, I'm close to pulling the trigger on a J2 DAC. However, they have 3 options for the DAC chip. Which one? Thank you. So I haven't heard the AKM version. I have both Sabre versions, and I think they're fantastic. Sound a little bit richer, fuller. So initially, if you're coming from a lower, like let's say a Sanskrit, or even, I'm not saying that the Schkit Modi is lower, it's just lower price. If you're coming from something like that and then you put a J2 in there, you're going to be like, this thing is not as exciting on top. But give it time, because the more that you listen to it, the more you get into it, you'll start to hear some of the differences. So the J2 is a DAC that you need to get to know. But generally speaking, in all of my experience, if there's something that you need to get to know and you start to lean into it, then oftentimes there's a lot of magic in there that isn't like apparent right out of the box. So unfortunately, I haven't heard the AKM version, but I anticipate it's going to be awesome. Some of my patrons have it, and they are already raving about it. So I don't think you really go wrong with any of them. I haven't met an AKM DAC that I've really, 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 really loved. So I'm excited to get their version of an AKM DAC in, because I have a feeling that I'm going to like it. Hey, Todd Gunter, debating upgrade to a better amp from the IEMA A08 or my DAC from the Schkit Modi 3 to the J2. I'd go J2 because, and it's pretty obvious. Like I'm a Gishelli fanboy. I'm an Emotiva fanboy. I am a Skit fanboy. But the thing about the Gishelli J2, Todd, is you're not getting better than that. I don't even know. Like, I haven't heard a Delta Sigma DAC that I was like, oh, yeah, I'll take that over the Gishelli all day long. So for $300 or $250, depending upon whether or not you need a USB or not, you're not getting better than that for a significant amount of money. And so since you can kind of like get that DAC and be done with it, and then anything you get is going to be better because, you know, that's the source coming through. So I would start with the J2 and start with the source there. Just my opinion, because like, even if you get like great speakers and you get a great amp and everything's perfect, great, you still, like, the first thing that your music is going through, besides, you know, your computer, whatever it is hitting the DAC. So the better the front end, the more clarity and detail you're going to get out of the back end. The better it is upstream, better it's going to come down downstream. You can always work on the downstream later, but to get a really solid source it's going to be able to grow with you for a long time. Will a power node be able to drive a Buchard S400? I think the quick answer to that is yes. I can't remember what the Buchard's efficiency was. I think they're not super hard to drive. 400 to specs. Let me share my screen here. Share screen. This one. Share. Okay. Accept all. All right. Let's see what we got here. Hey, look at all those reviews. I'm not on there. Look, you got Zero Fidelity. You got Jay Ziagi, Steve Gutenberg. You got Nemo, Darko, 13th Note. No cheap audio, man. Come on, Buchard, 88 dB. So, yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm not sure what the power node is, but it's Class D, so 88 dB, 8 ohms. Oh no, it's 4 ohms. I think it still should be fine. You may not get like everything out of them that you possibly could, but I wouldn't feel the need to go out and buy something different. All right, here we go. All right. Jim here, $2. Would a 20-foot RCA be a problem for a turntable? I don't think so. I mean, you may have a problem with the ground wire. I don't think so. I think it'll be fine. I mean, you can just try it, and like if you hear a lot of hum, but I mean, you get a decent shielded cable, you should be fine. Justin Hayden, $10. Do you have any experience options on the Sonos amp, black one? No, I do not. Hoping to replace my NAD Class AB amp. Singing to the rest of the house would be nice, but don't want to sacrifice sound. I don't have any experience with it. I would imagine that they are okay, but I'm just completely just making stuff up right now because I don't have any experience with the Sonos. I think you got to understand, like, Sonos is mass market everybody. Like, I don't think they're sitting there like worried about the audiophile because they're already selling enough of it. What you could do is you could get a really, really nice amp, and you could always add one of those Sonos thingamaboppers on there. Your NADs, you might want to think about that. So I think there's like a Sonos, it's not called the Link, but it's kind of like a Link where you just connect it into the amp. It's probably cheaper than the Sonos amp. Hold on, we got R Delgado. Let me see if how much the Sonos amp is. Sonos Connect something or other. Let's call it that. Sonos Port. That's what it is. Here we go. So that's $450. Bring Sonos experience to your existing stereo or receiver and enjoy endless possibilities. All right. Go back. Thank you so much for your answer on the DAC option for the J2. I'm excited. Very good. Tell Gino and Sherry that I sent you to them. So I sent you their way. Joseph London, $4.99. Any plans to test any other speakers from Ascend Acoustics like the Sierra or Sierra 2 EX? I would love to. Now, Ascend didn't send me anything. Actually, one of my patrons bought that, had it shipped to me, and then I shipped it back to him. So I don't have any relationship. I've never talked to anybody at Ascend Acoustics. So, yeah, I don't have any experience with them, but I'm totally open to it because I thought the ones that I can't remember the exact model number. I really thought they had a really fantastic mid-range, really spectacular mid-range. And I would totally be open to it. Great US company. So yeah. You're welcome, Justin. What's new on the Emotiva PT2? I think it's got a different DAC and maybe an upgraded phono stage. I'm pretty sure it has a new DAC in there. I don't know. I haven't had it in, so I could be speaking out of turn here. Yeah, there's something new in there. Working first time. Oh man, that sounds good. Billy, my boy. I talked to a guy from the UK today. Chuck Frankenstein. NAD sells a network amp. Okay, here's the thing though, Chuck. That doesn't include Sonos. So if you're into the Sonos ecosystem, that's not going to work for Sonos. And Sonos is probably, between that and Blue Sound, the two best streaming whole home distributed audio. Unless you're on a budget, then the Wii Mini Streamer would be. Wii Mini Streamer was on sale for $80 this week. It was a lightning deal. That is cheap. You get AirPlay 2, Bluetooth, streamer. Now the internal DAC is not very good, but you can also, for the price of a Wii, you can get a $100, $120 Modi. It's a nice setup for $200. That's crazy. Crazy. Do you use Mini DSP/RU? I do not. Look at you lifting heavy on that hammer strength machine. Is that what it is? No, I haven't used Mini DSP or RU. I could, but I haven't gotten that far into it. That's a rabbit hole to go down. Sorry. It never fails. I do a live stream and then the dog goes bananas. Sorry. If you're super happy with your system, then that is something cool to do. But I'm not there. I'm not that technical yet. I think Z Reviews did a really great video on me and Mini DSP years ago. Hey, Weem is still $89 on Amazon. Very cool. Yeah. I'll pop that into the chat if anybody wants to check that out. Full transparency, they have sponsored me, and they are currently sponsoring me this month. So they are paying me to talk about them, but I'd be talking about them anyway. Weem Mini Streamer, which is, the irony is, they never reached out to me until I did the review. And then when I did the review, then they reached out to me and said, can we sponsor you? And I said, yeah. All right, here we go. I'll pop that in here and then I will favorite it. So if you want to. And if anybody wants to just support the channel and you don't want to use a super chat and you shop on Amazon anyway, you can just click through that link and then buy your adult diapers on Amazon, and it does still support me. So yeah. What's the difference between a preamp and a DAC? So if you're just talking the digital domain, there's really no difference, because a DAC in essence is a digital preamp. A preamp, a traditional preamp, does a couple of things. One, it controls volume. So I'm going to have to walk back this statement. Usually a preamp controls volume. It also is amplifying a low level signal to go into the amplifier section. It also is a traffic cop for all of the different inputs. So if you have, let's say, a turntable coming in, and then you have a CD player coming in, and then you have a DAC coming in, then you're going to switch the different inputs on the preamp itself. A DAC does that for digital. So it can do that for coax, for an optical, for a USB. Some, here it gets even more confusing. Some preamps actually have DACs built in, and they'll have digital switching. So I don't know if that's making sense or not. Basically does input switching, kind of like a traffic cop for all your inputs. And then in essence, a DAC acts like that, but only for digital. And then it puts out an analog. So you would go computer to the DAC into the preamp, and then control volume on your preamp. However, there are some DACs that also have volume control. And if you're only using digital, then that's kind of like a digital preamp. Sorry. Can get kind of complicated. All right, Billy One Socks chiming in on the streaming. Haven't had a Sonos and a Blue Sound. There's only one winner on sound. Just plugged the Node in, and it is really good. Sonos app is a tiny bit better, but not enough to cross the gap in sound quality. Well, there you go. I really respect Billy. Billy's got a ton of experience and a very, 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 very nice system. And I think that speaks back to kind of mass market appeal of Sonos versus Blue Sound, which is owned by the Lenbrook umbrella of families. Umbrella Corporation. Makes it, was that zombie movie with the Umbrella Corporation? Anyway, like Sonos is like Spotify. Like they have all the customers, right? So they don't really care. Blue Sound is more closely related to our interests. And when I say our, I'm talking about like the audiophile folks and stuff like that. Jim here says a DAC also does nothing for an analog signal. Preamp brings analog to readable levels. It's not true, Jim. Most DACs have op amps in them, which is boosting the signal. So you'll get, you can do variable. So input level is 2 volts, but DACs have op amps in them, and they can put out 2 volts. So they are boosting the signal in the analog domain with an op amp. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Blue Sound Node to Emotiva PT2 when released to Wharfdale Lintons. Ooh, you think that makes sense? Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Sounds amazing. Jim, you're welcome, man. Listen, it's can get very confusing. I'm learning new stuff every single day. So yeah, don't ever stop learning, man. Anybody that said, oh, Resident Evil umbrella. Anybody that says, like, anybody that looks down on somebody for not knowing something in hi-fi, like, I wish I could really Because it's not like nobody was born coming out of the womb knowing everything there is to know about audio. We all learn. I just happened to start learning earlier than most people because I was fascinated by it. So yeah, none of us know everything. Some of us know more than others. Uptown Reef Keeper, then get headphones or compromise some other way. Okay. I must have missed something in the chat here. Todd, should I upgrade my older SVS subs to take advantage of the SVS app? Ooh, well, if you have them set, then, I mean, that's the beauty of the app, right? The beauty of the app is set up of the subwoofer. But if you already have them set up, which sounds like you probably do, you already have them in the right position, you got the crossover levels, or you're doing crossover through the AVR, you've got everything you need, then I would say no. If you're putting it into a new position, if you're blending it with a new setup, maybe. Because the app just makes it super, super, super easy to set up. And then you can also EQ some levels. So if you have bass issues in the room, you can compensate with that within the app. But if you're good to go, you're already set up, I don't think you'd be gaining a lot by getting a sub with the app. But I will say the app is absolutely fantastic. And if anybody's looking for a new subwoofer, generally speaking, I'd be like, just get it, because the app is so easy to get you up and running. And you can, on the fly, change settings from your chair. I can't say enough about that app. I'm amazed that they have it at the price that they do, because that's one of those things that they could kind of like, they could kind of just say, we're only including that with $1,000 subwoofers, but they don't include it on $500 subwoofers, or they're probably not 500 anymore. They're probably more like 600. But yeah, the app is awesome. But if you already have it set up, I wouldn't run out and get it just for the app. Savage A20A x2 to do bass in biamp RTI 12s. Oh, I think that's a Polk speaker RTI. Savage A20A x2 to do bass in biamp. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that would be great, actually. I think it would be. Now, I wouldn't do that for tweeters. I would use something else for the tweeters, maybe even a tube amp for the tweeters, to get some sweetness in there. But yeah, for bass, you bet. That sounds like it would be great. Gadget Dad, what would be the best streaming device to add to the Buchart 150? Best is okay. So that depends on, okay, what is your streaming platform of choice? And then, are you going to use the DAC inside the Buchart? Are you going to use the DAC inside the streamer? So there's a lot of things to consider there. If you're on a budget, the Wii Mini Streamer is $80, $90, whatever it is. And then you can optical out of that into the Buchart. Okay. I mean, the Buchart's got a great DAC in it. So really what I would do is I would kind of concentrate on just finding a solid streaming platform that you like. So the software, if you're Amazon Music only, I think that Amazon Link is a great option. I think it's only about $200. But even if you get a Blue Sound Node, the DAC in the Buchart is probably still better than the Blue Sound Node DAC. But if it just depends. I mean, some people swear by the iFi Zen Stream, but the interface is super clunky with that. But if you're just doing Tidal, then it has a Tidal Connect feature. So that might be a way to go too. It's $400. Well, it was $400. And it has a really clean signal, apparently. Hey, we got another super chat. I always know Scott because he's got this. He got a penguin. My daughter loves penguins. Scott Pledger, $20. Thanks for all you do, Randy. Have a drink on me. Thank you, Scott. Scott, you're the best. You're the best. Oh, Gadget Dad says Spotify. Okay, if you're using Spotify, then you don't really need to go crazy on the streamer because you're not getting lossless anyway, right? You got a great DAC within the you got a great DAC in the Boo card. So I would just get a Wing Mini streamer and then optical out of that into the Boo card because you have Spotify Connect, you have Tidal Connect, you have the full streaming platform. So whatever you want, if you want to do Amazon Music or Qobuz or whatever it is, you can do that. And then you can AirPlay to it as well. So that's, yeah, for $80. I mean, it's a no-brainer. No brainer. Wow. So now that I've got you guys all cornered in here, I started another channel and I would love it if you guys would check it out. It's about watches because I love watches. I love analog watches, like old school. And it's not too dissimilar from hi-fi because the watch community can be very snobby. All right. So I'm gonna try to find my channel because it's so small right now. I can't even search it out. What I'll do is I'll share one of the videos, and then if you could click on it and then subscribe, that would be cool. And then also maybe watch a video and then like the video because starting a new channel is not all that easy. You got to kind of build it up again. But having y'all here is kind of like it helps me. It helps me because I can kind of, jeez, Randy, switch account. I don't have it here. Because there's a lot of overlap. There's actually some people that like stuff in like watches in here. Sorry. I know I'm spending way too much time doing this and you guys are here for audio, which isn't really all that nice of me. Posts. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So hold on. I'm almost done. I promise. Copy. All right. Sorry. That took a long time. I apologize. Here, post. So if you're a fan of mine, I pretty much do the watch reviews exactly like I do hi-fi reviews. So yeah, just click on it and like the video. That'd be great. And subscribe. $5 from R Delgado. Thank you. I know R Delgado already found the watch channel. I'll check it out, but hardly ever wear a watch or jewelry either. Todd, that's a cool thing about watches. Like there's a ton of really, 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 really good, inexpensive watches out there that, you know, make you feel like you're wearing a Rolex. You don't have to wear a Rolex. Do you think watches are cheaper now because of the iWatch? No, because like there's certain amounts of like, there's just certain like costs that are fixed, like materials. I mean, there's different movements. Like some of the Seiko automatic movements are really, really well respected, but there's a fix. It's kind of like a DAC chip. So if you buy a Seiko movement, it's like a DAC chip. That's a fixed cost. If watches are getting really inexpensive, chances are they're probably not a good watch, if that makes sense. But there's some good brands out there, and like micro brands, kind of like Gishelli Labs, kind of like Emotiva, kind of like shit. There's watch brands out there that are similar to that. US watch companies out there that are doing their own thing and making a really solid product. So yeah, it's so similar. There's so many parallels between watches and hi-fi, especially with the snobbery and the gatekeeping. So it's really kind of funny. And I'm surprised I didn't figure it out a long time ago because I've always loved watches. Notorious DKK50. Thank you so much. I'm not quite sure what that currency is. Any plans to review that new SMSL A300? That sounds familiar for some reason. I know what your name is because you're a patron. Wearing the Invicta specialty model 3402 today. Cool. I'm actually getting an Invicta in today. Another pro diver. Omega did a that's right, they did a collab with Swatch because the Swatch brand owns Omega. You cannot buy that watch. Now you can go try to find it at a Swatch store, but there's only a few Swatch stores in the US that may have it, and I've heard that they're all sold out of them anyway. But yeah, so the Speedmaster is the watch that was worn to the moon. And on Apollo 13, they timed their burn. Anyway, one of the only things they had working was the watch. And so they call it the Moon Watch because of Apollo 13. So that's one of Omega's most iconic watches. And so basically Swatch took that design and they made it into a Swatch thing because Swatch owns Omega now, or they have for a long time. And so I thought it was really cool. So it's like a very, very affordable Speedmaster watch with the Swatch kind of style. Really cool. But you're not getting one. And if you do get one, let me know. Feliciano, coffee on me, $4.99. Also, I would like to see your review watch stands for people that have multiple watches. I would like to see you review watch stands. Okay, for people that have multiple watches. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Feliciano. Very much. This dog, man, it's my own fault. I should put the dog up when I'm doing these. And I never do. Host of London, $9.99. Speaker Rex, 500-1K. I like the detail of my RP600M, but hate the dip in frequency response. I prefer my Mica RB42's response, but I prefer more detail. What sort of options aren't there? I don't know what the 500-1K is. I do have experience with the Micas. I do have experience with RP600M. I'm trying to think. So if you're after a very linear frequency response that does have detail, you could look at the ELAC Unify 2.0. You're not going to like it at first, though. That speaker takes a long time to get to know. And once you get to know it, then you're like, oh, okay, there's all the detail. The other option is the new Emotiva B2 Plus. If you want clarity, you're going to get clarity. You're going to get a pretty linear flat response, too. And I actually think it's going to have a warmer, fuller mid-range than the RP600M. And I would take the ELAC B2 Plus every day of the week over the RB42s. So those and the Unifies are two to look at. But if you get the Unifies, keep in mind, they took a long time to burn in. And if it's not burn in, then it takes a long time for your brain to get used to it. But then they do open up and they are spectacular. Spectacular. Jeff Baker says Rolex Macintosh collab. Yeah, that's about the same thing, right? That's about the level. You got luxury watches, you got luxury hi-fi. Yeah. Do you know that there's a theory like going around the watch community that Rolex is purposefully holding back supply to make it even more like a hyped thing, that you can't even go out and buy a new Rolex right now? Like, you can't do it. Like everything else, you can just go buy a watch, right? But if it's a Rolex, can't buy it. Like apparently there's waiting lists. And I'm not talking about like a year. I'm talking like multi-year waiting lists to buy a Rolex at list price. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's why I love like affordable watches, because like that kind of torques me off. Even if it's not true, you still can't go buy a new Rolex. So anyway, yeah. Sure you guys are not excited about that. Rock on, brother. Any updates on the lures? Right out there. So KLH Model 5s is happening, and then the lures are going up. Okay. So Lures probably, they're going up in the queue. So 2 weeks, maybe sooner, probably 2 weeks for the Lures. I would buy a used Rolex. Jake, used Rolexes are going for more than new Rolexes. Like okay. So Submariner watch from Rolex. New, like $9,000. That's list price. Used, 30 years old, $11,000. Because you can't get a new one. And used ones are more expensive than new ones. It's crazy. It's like the used car market here for a while. Notorious DKK. Hey, Randy, what is your current option? What is your current opinion on the Lox G A30? I'm looking at a combo on both a speaker DAC amp with a headphone out at that price range. I think the A30 is good. I think it has a bit of a little bit of a digital sheen on the top. So I think it's good. It uses the Infineon 12070 chip, which is a good chip. A little bit lean though. But I think at that price range, you're probably not going to get much better with the included headphone out. I don't know like what type of speakers. Obviously you're not in the US, so I don't know what speakers you have available, but I would look for a speaker that isn't emphasized on the top end. I think that would be a good pairing with the Lox G A30. Because with the wrong speaker, that might be a little bit too much. Yeah. Jake Davis said, ouch, did not know that. Yeah. It's fascinating. Fascinating. When SVS Prime Pinnacle review? Not for a while because I don't have them. I do not have the Prime Pinnacles here. I'd love to get them, but I do not have them. Yeah. All right. Let's go back up here. Nobody would do that. All diamond companies. Brian Romska. Oh, Brian. I love Brian. He's like the most cynical guy I know. Brian's a cynic. I've listened on YouTube to comparisons between the Wharfdale Diamond 12.1s. Cool. Von Mitchell. Does anyone make a Class D power amp? I don't like the warmth of AB amps. Yeah, Vaughn, a bunch of people make Class D power amps. Ton. Lox G, SMSL, topping, NAD. A lot of people make Class D amps. AIMA actually has a really good one, the A07. But that sounds like an AB, so you'd probably want to look at something from SMSL or topping that has the Infineon 12070 chip, which is like everything for a while. Steph Ukulele? Steph, okay. Hey, Randy, do you have any recommendations on the budget CD players? Do the new CDP sound way better compared to the older ones? Are their DACs better? I read many reviews for a DAC chip Philips. Yeah, I think that if that's the chip I'm thinking of, that was like one of the old school, like OG multi-bit DACs, which is kind of what everybody that's doing multi-bit tries to kind of copy. So budget CD players, I don't really have any recommendation for those. I know Cambridge makes one, but I don't know how budget it is. I use an Oppo Blu-ray player. What I would suggest if you're wanting to get into CDs and you want to get started like immediately, I would just find an old Blu-ray or DVD player that has an optical or coaxial out, and then I would put that into a DAC. And then what you're really doing is you're using that DVD or Blu-ray player as a CD transport. And then you're getting that into a decent DAC. If you're looking for a true CD player, Emotiva does have one that's very good, but it doesn't play gaplessly. So if you listen to a lot of live CDs, there will be a tiny gap between the tracks. If you don't, then it's not a big deal and it's a great CD player. But I think it's $400. Randy, B1 divided by versus B2 divided by Emotiva. It's the square root of Emotiva. I think you're B1 plus. I got you, B1 plus. I got you. The divided by threw me. If I had to choose, I'd take the B2 plus. Fantastic. Fantastic. Mind the gap. Hey, Billy, you ever heard that? Mind the gap? Randy, will you be auditioning the new Bifrost 2 64 from Schkit? I could probably get it in. I'm so covered up with stuff right now, though. But I could get it in. Yeah, I could. It's probably a good idea. Oppo players are epic. Yes. Now, see, I wish someone would just buy the Oppo name and start to resurrect it, because I think that would be the best. Ed Zach, Randy, will you be auditioning? Okay, never mind. I just read that. Billy says often on the underground. That's right. When I was in London, Billy, I got a t-shirt and it had like the underground logo and it said Mind the Gap. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too small for me now. I don't even know where it's at, to tell you the truth. All right. 14 minutes. I think I've got some groceries on the front porch, so I'm going to text my wife and let her know. I think the groceries are on the front porch. It doesn't really matter, except there's some frozen chicken out there, and it's like 3,000 degrees in Texas. Raspberry Pi 4 for streaming Cobas or 2021 MacBook Pro M1. I have an external DAC looking for the cleanest sound. Isn't everyone, though? Laugh out loud. So I have a Mac Air M1. Raspberry Pi 4 is good. Here's a thing to think about. Raspberry Pi 4 being powered off of a battery bank, because Pi 4 is 5 volts. So all of those battery banks have 5 volts, right? So what one could do in theory is power Raspberry Pi 4 off of a good battery bank and then not have to worry anything about a power supply, any type of power supply issues, like AC power supply issues. I've actually thought about doing that. And I've thought about so I would do Raspberry Pi powered by a battery bank and then a smart switch, like from Amazon or whatever, that is running a routine to turn on the switch. So at night, I would basically be topping off the battery bank, charging it at night, and then during the day, switch it off. Now, there could be some noisy gremlins that are going up the cord or whatever, but you can always unplug it. But I've never done it, but I've always thought about doing it, and I think that would be it would be very interesting to do that, and then a Pi 4 that's just plugged into the wall, and see if there's a sound difference. You need an operating system on it, though, so you can look at what is it? RoPi E is for Rune. What was the other one I always ran? I can't think of it right now. It's kind of clunky. Hold on. Now it's going to bug me. I got the app on my phone. Music. Volumio. Duh. Volumio. Yeah. Thoughts on U-Turn turntables and compared to Fluence Project AT, etc. Thanks. I think U-Turn is fantastic. Here's the deal. I like Fluence specifically because of the somewhat semi-automatic feature set, which it turns the record off at the end of the record automatically. Also has a removable head shell. Also has adjustable feet on the Fluence. And you get all that for the same price as you get for a U-Turn. Cheaper than what you get for most projects, Audio-Technica, etc. So my personal table it's not even here anymore, is a Fluence. That's the one that I use all the time because I can change out cartridges instantly because of the removable head shells. My secondary choice for a budget turntable would be a U-turn. If you know you're going to stick with just one cartridge for a while and you don't get the itch to change out the cartridges, then I think U-turn's a great, option. And they're made in the USA. They're really good looking and they're really solid. So personally, my choice is Fluence RT, and if you're on a budget, RT 82 or higher. So 82, 83, 84, or 85, because it's the same fundamental turntable. The only difference is the cartridge, and then the RT 85 also has an acrylic platter. You can get a very nice U-turn with an acrylic platter, I think, for around 300. So yeah. U-turn's great. Love them. And it's kind of my secondary choice behind Fluence, if that makes sense. Here in the Netherlands, the Oppo is still for sale. Huh, cool. Ooh, Tidal or Qobuz. I don't have much experience with the Qobuz. I've listened to Qobuz. Now I have patrons that swear by Qobuz. They love it. I use Tidal simply because I like their they make little mixes for you, and I like their music discovery. I think their music discovery is way better than Amazon Music. To be fair, though, I can't directly compare Tidal to Qobuz because I just haven't spent enough time in Qobuz to say one's definitively better than the other. And now that Tidal has kind of taken the MQA thing off the table with a subscription level that doesn't include MQA, which is cheaper than Qobuz, I think it's even more of a compelling streaming service to take a look at. That makes sense. But there's some stigma and there's some baggage that goes along with Tidal simply because of MQA. Qobuz does all that. Does all what? Like, I get it. Like, they'll do, like, to be fair, what I just said, I can't directly compare Qobuz to Tidal because I haven't spent enough time in Qobuz to say if Tidal's better. What I said is Tidal is better than Amazon when it comes to the music recommendations and things like that. If you're a Qobuz lover, be a Qobuz lover. It's awesome. I still think Tidal is cheaper than Qobuz, though, but maybe not for. I don't think you get $24,192 in Tidal for the $9.99 price tag. But Qobuz is great. Tidal's great. Everything's great. And actually, I think Qobuz has less stigma and less baggage associated with it than Tidal does because of MQA. I'm not calling your kid ugly. I think Qobuz is great. I just haven't spent too much time in it. You can't sort your search results. What a friggin' joke. Qobuz or Tidal. You still can't sort your search results. I don't know if I know what that means. One thing I'll say about Tidal, though, is you have Tidal Connect on a lot of devices now, which means you don't even have to use the streaming application. You can just pull up Tidal on your phone, hit the connect button, and then you're running Tidal from here. And it's true streaming. So this is a remote control. Yeah. Yeah, they were both great until the internet drops. True. Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, stream all my music. Now, granted, I have a lot of physical media, including this cassette tape from the greatest band of all time. I do have a lot of physical media, but like, I'm really like tied to streaming. And if for whatever reason internet goes down, zombie apocalypse, what was that movie I talked about that I forgot the name, which I already forgot the name of? Evil, no. I want to say Evil Dead, but I know it's not Evil Dead. That was a Sam Raimi film. It starred the iconic Bruce Campbell. Why can't I think of that name? Tidal Connect from iFi ZenStream sounds better than my PC, notably so. There you go. People love the friggin' ZenStream. And I think the ZenStream with like I think one of the only use cases the ZenStream is good for is with Tidal Connect. Metallica is awesome. Who's your second favorite artist of all time? Army of Darkness. That's right. Was the third movie. So that movie's actually Evil Dead is actually a trilogy, all by Sam Raimi. So Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness. Yeah. Love it. This is my boomstick. Shop smart. Shop S-smart. If you haven't seen Army of Darkness, run out and see it. Resident Evil. Hey, Dr. C. There it is. This is only like, I've already forgotten it once. This is my boomstick. Loved Army of Darkness. It's the best. Sam Raimi is a really innovative filmmaker. Do you know that Sam Raimi also directed all of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, or at least the first two? And if you watch those movies and then you watch Evil Dead, the way that he uses the camera and stuff like that, it's very similar. Maybe he meant filtering search results, not sorting. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's go to somebody else. Haha, I am using a tube integrated amp. Not sure about high-low switch. The tube amp has a gain switch. I think switch 39 dB to 42 dB fixes it somewhat. Need to test more. That sounds like a phono preamp, and maybe that's what you're talking about. But yeah, 39 dB to 42 dB that's on a phono preamp. Feel like I'm lost here. I thought Raimi's Drag Me to Hell was pretty good. Yeah, I like that one too. I like that one a lot. Bruce Campbell is in at least one of the Spider-Man. That's right. Well, actually, I think he's in all the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies in a cameo of one way or the other. Like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are boys, which is cool. Have you used the Denafrips Aries 2 for movies? I haven't. No, I heard there's a bit of a delay. So if you can't sort it through your AVR, well, you can't sort it through your AVR. If you can't sort it through like a Blu-ray player, I've heard that the Denafrips Aries 2 can be bad for video unless you can sync the audio or delay the audio from the TV or like a Blu-ray player, like a UHD Blu-ray player. So yeah. But to answer your question, no. But I think I know where you're going with that question. Bruce Campbell's in Burn Notice. That's right. There's actually I think it was on HBO or Cinemax. There is a Army of Darkness series that came out. All right, a couple more minutes, and then I need to run because kids went back to school today, so I got to do pickup. Raimi did Darkman with Liam Neeson. Good, cheesy fun. Yeah. Sam Raimi's great, man. Great, fun filmmaker. Fun movies. Army of Darkness, yeah, not Army of Dead. Yeah. Sam Raimi puts the same car in every movie. That's right. That big yellow car. If Uncle Ben was driving that car when he got murdered in Spider-Man, that car was in every movie that Sam Raimi's done. He's always had that car. Evil Dead car, Spider-Man car. Yep. Bruce was also in Doctor Strange too. Yeah. I have a Qobuz Untitled hooked up to Rune. Recommend it. Yes, absolutely. It's an Olds, right? Yep. Yeah, I was going to say Pontiac, but yeah. Oldsmobile and Pontiac were somewhat kind of the same before they both went under. It's GM. Hey, Randy, good to see you on. Which hardware in the chain serves up album art into a TV? DAC, amp, any recommendations on how to make that work? No, that's going to be the streaming service part of so whatever streaming service you're going to do is the one that's going to actually pop up the album art. Even some receivers via Bluetooth will pop up album art, but the streamer is basically the receiver because it's the one that's processing the Bluetooth. But like the Pioneer receiver I have, it pops up the album art through it, but it has an internal streamer. If you're streaming, like say you're streaming Tidal through an Apple TV, it pops up the album art through the Apple TV or from a smart TV. So most smart TVs, if you're using their music app, they will serve up the album art onto the TV. But it all comes through the streaming, the service and the hardware, really. Bruce Campbell on HBO, John from Cincinnati. Great series. Okay. It's time, gents, ladies and gents. Appreciate all of you so much. KLH Model 5 video should be coming out maybe on Friday or Saturday. So that will be the next review coming out. So I love y'all. Love you. I hope you have a great week. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for all the super chats and super stickers and stuff. So I will bid you farewell. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye. 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 Bye.